Hi, so my name is Sukian Jonathan Ook, and this is another episode of my DP weekly vlog where I talk about, my growth as DP. As a DP, I can say like all the things that we've been learning the past couple of weeks, and especially the last like 2 weeks or so, have been very valuable to me from a visual standpoint because like lighting it's so important, for each of the scenes. It can really set the mood and the tone, and really push, the boundaries of like what you can do. We've been learning about like high key, low contrast, and high key, high contrast, and all of those different combinations, and how to light those scenes. Like for this particular shot right now, it's more or less like a high key, low contrast. One of the things that is really important for me with these exercises is like being able to practice the things that we've learned, and like I've mentioned in the previous episode, I believe, uh, actually doing these things is much more valuable to me than actually just reading about it and just like talking about it, because like everything is to muscle memory. I was a chef for 12 years, so everything I did became muscle memory. So being able to just practice these things and just like exercise them is very valuable for me, because then I can just already start to get into the groove of things. When you're out and about, like outside, just looking at the lighting around you and just kind of like getting an example of what like a daytime um, lighting would look like with the shadows and the contrast and things like that. And, just being indoors is like you can see like how things work. And then you just kind of like use that to be able to light your scene. Like some of the exercises we did, we were having some problems with our angles, like how we were angling our light, compared to the source that we're trying to imitate the light from, like for instance, a lamp. So you wouldn't want to imitate the light from a lamp by having the light up high and aiming down. Like that makes no sense. So we aimed the light kind of like in the same level towards our subject. Being able to do these things but also like work together, it has been really interesting, because it's good to see what everyone is able to take and what is everyone able to contribute. And I find myself like really hesitant to throw down my thought process or um, my suggestions or whatever, just because like you know I'm a pretty calm person, pretty introverted at times, and I don't really speak out as much as I want to, because I know like someone will suggest the same thing, and I usually wait on that unless no one does, and then I have to speak out. So this last exercise has been really interesting because there has been moments where we just stand there in silence and just kind of like think, and sometimes it's hard to be able to communicate when you're not talking. So I try to pretty much just kind of initiate a conversation by throwing out my ideas out there. But other than that, the past week we've been learning about using the Steadicam and using the gimbal, and those are like just two tools that I'm somewhat familiar with, but I'm not too like advanced or whatnot about it. Like I've owned a Steadicam setup before, like a cheap one, but I never really understood like how to use it. So being able to be a part of these intermediate cinematography classes with the undergrads and being able to use these steady cams has been like really rewarding. But being able to like get hands-on with the steady cam, seeing how to properly balance and troubleshoot that has been very valuable. I've owned a gimbal, two different, 3-axis gimbals before, and I have a gimbal right now, so I'm pretty familiar how those things work. And there is a lag from like, wanting to pan and then the gimbal starts to pan. So that is a disadvantage of gimbals. But like the Steadicam, I'm really excited to work on that. We also had our dolly practical test or whatnot. And that was a really interesting test because we are graded as a group. And if we're all not on the same page, then I understand that we should, all suffer for that because we're not helping each other out. And that's one of the things that Joel mentioned. Like we're all part of this industry. We should be watching out for each other, because if we're not, we're all gonna, look bad. And as a graduate student, I believe I should probably be a little bit more, what's the word, like prominent, or be a little bit more, take a little bit more leadership, just to watch everything and make sure everyone's doing everything correctly. Like we lost a few points for, just really some basic things, like just putting a latch on a Pelican case, putting the lock on one of those so like no one picks it up and everything just falls out. But I've come, like, now that it's been like a couple of weeks now, I've come to realize that I need to put a little bit more effort. And I've been really introverted about like going out and just practicing some of the things that I've learned. So that is going to be a huge struggle for me to overcome, and just go out and do things, because that's the only way to really learn, is to get things done yourself. But yeah, I think as a DP, I'm slowly growing and learning, and everything has been really worthwhile. And I'm looking forward to learn more about everything and just being able to get hands-on and be the best that I can be. So I guess that's all I'm going to have for this particular episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.